CISA Purchasing. Thanks, CISA Purchasing, for hosting. And everyone, this is being recorded, so just make you aware of that. Like to say good afternoon or good morning, whichever the case may be, to everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our AEPA webinar series. My name is George Wilson. I serve as the Executive Director of the Association of Educational Purchasing Agencies. AEPA, a purchasing cooperative with representatives, lead agencies in 31 states across the country. The other 19 states are covered in many cases with a piggyback agreements with those state lead agencies. We bid together. We can alleviate the burden to our customers of having to go through the bid process themselves. By aggregating all the potential spend, we can lock in savings based on volume. And we have over 80 competitively bid and awarded vendor partners in now 34 categories, I believe. And that list grows every year, and it's certainly growing this year. We have turfs, tracks, courts, school and instructional supplies, maintenance and custodial supplies, cybersecurity, and much, much more. All that information is available on the AEPA website at aepacoop.org. And we hope you'll take an opportunity to look if you haven't done that. This year in 2025, we're celebrating our 25th anniversary. And we've seen a lot of growth since 6 state agencies come together to form AEPA originally in the year 2000. So this webinar series is hopefully to educate our customers on timely topics, help increase awareness of our co-op and our vendor partners. Today, you'll hear from the experts in artificial turf, how you can change the game with your sports surfaces from our vendor partner, Field Turf. First up for us today is Jason Smollett. He's the Director of Innovation and Product Management for Field Turf. Jason, thank you, and thank Field Turf for being a part of this webinar series to help our folks understand better from a vendor standpoint. So Jason, I'll kick it over to you and take it away.
Thank you very much, George, and I appreciate everybody's time and willingness to listen to me there for a bit today. So very kind of you all, and happy to be here, of course. My name is Jason Smollett. I'm the Director of Innovation and Product at Field Turf, and I've been with the company for a little over 20 years. So you'll notice a theme here today, and just piggybacking off of what George was saying, and I think that theme for me, anyways, is easy, right? So from a vendor's perspective, what I'll talk about, easy to handle and maintain products, along with an easy process to get what you want. So the feedback that I get with the cooperative purchasing process is it's the easiest turnkey solution for just about all sports surfacing. You don't have to settle for a product that you don't actually want. So, you're leveraging economies of scale. We're not duplicating the bid process. And everything you see today in terms of product has already been, competitively bid, which includes pre-negotiated prices. So on our end, we've done this with over, I gotta say, roughly 1,000, customers that have gone from like proposal to contract very fast, obviously saving a lot of time and a lot of resources. So I'll jump in. I have a couple of topics here I want to share with you today. Like I said, I'm the Director of Innovation at Field Turf. Very, very thankful and lucky to have that position and work with a terrific team of people. Um, we've got two topics today. One that's sort of baseball, softball focused that I'm super excited to share with you, and a grouping of efforts around sustainability a little bit later. But we've placed a lot of development emphasis on the sports of baseball and softball over the years. Unlike other sports where it's kind of essentially a rectangle, and if you're doing a turf field, it's kind of one product goes on one field. A baseball or a softball field has many different areas, if you think about it, right? You have the base path, the green patch in the infield, the outfield, the warning track, the apron, the bullpens, the batting cages. So it kind of gets spliced up into different sections. And one of the challenges for the industry has really been, something I would call high use areas in artificial turf, right? So if you wanted to make like the pitcher's mound and where the batter and the catcher and the umpire stands, the home plate area, if you want to do that in turf, there's going to be some added maintenance. And sometimes it's a challenge to keep up with it. Um, there are some good solutions out there today, but I think there was room for improvement. So our greater team, our design and construction and innovation teams here, spent a fair amount of time developing some easy solutions for customers that we think are a lot better. They've rolled out over the last year or two, and so far the feedback has been phenomenal. And I wanted to take a little bit of time here and share with you what's new and innovative in the world of high use areas for baseball and softball. So the first concept we came up with is something we call the natural pitch hybrid mound. So, on a mound, the concept here is pretty simple, is we can turf the whole mound and leave the winged landing area where the pitcher is constantly making the same motions over and over and over in the same spot in natural clay. So it's kind of a best of both worlds approach. So in the middle wing landing area there, you see the clay, and everywhere else would be turf. Typically, we would recommend a concrete base under the turf. But what's also cool about this is you would think to yourself, looking at this, well, what if the clay migrates down the mound a little bit and gets into the turf? That sort of a curved radius area at the bottom is something on site we make removable, and we give our customers, some added pieces. So it's a really cool design that we came up with. Best of both worlds. To me, this is an absolute no-brainer. We've done this on numerous installations already. It's not a new idea, but I wanted to introduce it to you in case, people weren't aware of these options. So again, there's no Velcro used on this mound. For years, removable areas for baseball and softball in these areas in general, Velcro has been used. It can work, but we believe that these options that I'm showing you here today are actually much improved. So we make that strip in the front removable with staples so that, customers can easily replace it. We install the initial piece. We give the customer their spare parts. We give them 8 extra pieces. And, we've been monitoring, obviously, our early installations very closely. And, so far our customers are thrilled with it and think this is a terrific option for pitchers mounds, within a turf field. So that's design number one in terms of what's new in the world of baseball, softball when it comes to these at times problematic high use areas. The second concept is for the customer type who says, I don't want a speck of clay anywhere on my field, let alone just that sort of small landing zone for the pitcher. So we came up with another concept that would be all turf, again with a focus on easy, right? These high use areas are kind of treated as disposable areas. Um, so there's always going to be more maintenance, but how could we just make it easier on our customers to own these areas and to change them out. So we came up with a patent pending concept here where we, in the landing zone, as you can see on the image on the screen, we recess the concrete and we drop in a foam tray that stays there for the whole time, a rigid foam tray in 3 sections that has holes in it for drainage. Then in that rigid foam tray, we have turf that is glued to very heavy rubber pads in 3 sections that we drop into that tray. So basically, you get something now, like a mound landing area with in 3 sections, and you can choose to replace one section. In the past, you had to replace this whole rectangle. It was cumbersome. There's Velcro involved, which is not always perfect. Or, maybe you realize you can't do this yourself. Let me call a manufacturer's crew to come in, which at times can be a little expensive, or you're waiting for it. This, 2 people can do this, replace a section in 20 minutes at most. I've done one myself. So you can pick up a piece, change it out with a spare piece, or pick up that piece, rotate it, drop it back in very, very easily. So as these areas wear and you want to change them out, it's really, really quick. And these pieces, I would say, are pretty heavy. You need 2 people to lift each piece up, so they stay in place very, very well. So we have this installed at many, many places, from Division I universities to municipalities to high schools, etc. So it's been a hit so far there. We introduced it 2 years ago there, and it's really taken off because it's making it easier on people. We have civil drawings as well, if we're doing the base or not. Those are available in terms of nailer boards and how we would work the concrete and all the dimensions, etc., on this mound. And like what I showed you earlier, we have plenty of customers, right? So again, with these mounds, this is just a picture, I believe, of the first one we did of this 2 years ago. Again, no Velcro. We install the initial pieces on site. We give the customer 2 extra sets to put in storage. Consider those your spare parts. And of course, we recommend doing the mound in concrete. And again, we've stayed very close to our customers on some of our earlier installs to gauge its effectiveness. And, the coach in this specific installation there had nothing bad to say about it, and really loves the system. And so it's nice to have these early supporters. So those are 2 new cool mound ideas that our team came up with that I'm just really excited about to continue rolling out and share with you. You may be asking yourself, okay, well, if I think of a baseball field, that's the mound. What about the home plate? So we've also worked on basically the same system for home plate, right? Because again, these are the 2 areas on the field that wear out the most. So we've created a system where we can recess the concrete in 3 sections, glue pieces of turf to very heavy rubber mats, and drop those 3 pieces into the recessed concrete areas, so that when one of those pieces wears out, you could easily pop it up, rotate it, put it back, or pop it up, put it aside, and put one of your spare pieces back into place very, very easily. Again, 2-person job, can be done, within minutes. So typically, our customers will select the mound option and the home plate option together and make it as easy as possible on themselves, for a decade or so and owning a turf field. Again, we have civil drawings for the home plate area as well. So, that's all pre-planned, and, we're ready to execute these things in any scenario. And again, just a quick picture from one of our earlier installations of this. Again, no Velcro in the system. We provide the initial set and spare parts, and of course, we recommend concrete for this area. So those are the latest and greatest in the world of baseball and softball when it comes to designing with the customer in mind and really focusing on what I would call customer pain points. That's one of the sort of pillars as to how we intend to win, how we approach it. And the home plate and mound areas have been a pain point for some time there, and I think this represents a pretty significant improvement in those areas. Any questions generally on the mounds and the home plates or baseball and softball with turf in general? You're on mute, George, if you're talking. I could see you talking there.
Sorry. This question came in from one of our members.
Sure.
Anything else unique you have for baseball and softball that you'd like to mention here?
Yeah, good good question. So yeah, I mean, I would say that what's unique to me about baseball and softball and artificial turf, like I was mentioning earlier, is there's many different sections of the field, right? Unlike football, soccer, lacrosse, any other sport you could think of. Years ago, we sort of revamped our baseball product line and spent years testing natural clay surfaces, natural grass surfaces to develop products that performed like the real thing and products that are actually perform like the real thing but are faster in speed. Because we saw in talking to the baseball softball community that there's a group of people or a segment that that'll say, hey, give me a turf field for baseball softball that performs like the real thing, and we have that. And then there's also a pretty big segment that wants something that performs like the real thing, but when you hit a ground ball in the infield, they want it to move real fast. So we were able to take a very innovative approach with high-speed cameras and custom softwares to track how the ball, travels through different surfaces. And we came up with a two-tier product line like that. A couple of cool things though that we use in the base paths of our sort of fast product line for people who wanted to play faster in the infield. We use an infill material that's made of granulated olive pits, actually, that are clean, rounded, smoothed. And we found that when you mix that with sand, the ball performs a lot like natural clay and also moves faster. So it was kind of a very unique, cool discovery, while we were in the development process of our baseball product line.
Okay.
Excellent question.
Sometimes funding for projects like this, we're asked to share about a provider's recycling efforts.
Yep.
So are you able to elaborate? I know you said some of the products are recycled materials, made from recycled materials. Are you able to expand on that just a little bit? Maybe how
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
prove that or whatever?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I have so that's kind of what I'm excited about and what's recently new in baseball and softball. One of our other pillars that, strategically we aim to win with is sustainability. So innovation with a real purpose, So our approach to sustainability, George, is more than just the environment, but it's really about our commitment to protect the athletes. We've always been about that, and communities who use our products.
Sure.
So we kind of take the holistic approach, really building for the future, athletic potential, and safeguarding athletes and communities. And this is kind of a cool graphic here to put things into perspective. And it's always been the case, but it's not obvious to people about turf fields when you think about it there. But we're literally saving billions of gallons of water annually. We're recycling millions of tires into granulated infill. So there's post-industrial, there's, post pre-consumer material that we recycle at our facilities and that go into our products. And of course, there's no fertilizer needed, in artificial turf, So we're talking big numbers here. We're doing a lot of fields annually. And if you think about per field and add those up on an annual basis, that makes a dent, right? So it's something to really feel good about. And a big a big part of this future is measured through the impact we're making in resources saved. I think this is making a very real difference in our communities today. Um, so looking at that, and I think we have a lot of momentum when it comes to sustainability these days. These are some items I'd like to highlight. It's just kind of a sliver of what's really interesting when it comes to our sustainability program. Internally, this isn't one person's job, but it's really something that, every person sort of takes on as part of our efforts to make progress and push boundaries. So just mainly wanted to highlight, how proud we are of our entire team for spearheading these initiatives. And a lot of these are really industry firsts. So what's exciting for us is we're really driving the industry and pushing the industry forward on these things. So these are the 4 items there that I'll touch on very briefly. The first one is something we call Goal Zero when it comes to sustainability. So one of our objectives we set for ourselves years ago was to, reach an industry-leading achievement of being the first artificial turf manufacturer to divert 100% of our job site and manufacturing waste from landfills by 2025. We're very much on track for that, by the way. But imagine that, again, not super obvious to everybody, but we're building large turf fields, right? It's a very big construction site. These are, 80,000, 100,000 square, foot areas per field at a time. Naturally, when you take on a project like that, there's a lot of waste that comes, from the effort in general. So years ago, we challenged ourselves to make this happen. It becomes a point of pride for all of us, quite frankly, that, something that has created a lot of momentum internally, I must say, for us to rally around and build off of. And it's something that I think that's real, that customers can see and that's really measurable, right? And I think this has pushed others in the industry to take recycling very seriously, to be honest. And I think it's a big step for all of us in general. So I'll break it down a little bit. So when there's a turf field at the end of its useful life, typically the sand and the SBR rubber that comes from car tires is reusable. We've been doing this for many years, actually. So infill reuse into the new field is very important, especially since infill is 75 or so percent of the weight of an entire artificial turf field. So the infill is very important with this effort. So basically, we extract the SBR and sand infill out of the old field at the end of its useful life. Then the new sort of turf carpet comes on site, and we put the infill back in the new turf carpet, right? So that's been done for many, many years. So that's option number one. Option number two is we have sort of an infill take-back program. We call here, infill regeneration. And we own a couple of facilities of ours that we own and operate facilities that do this. So we're able to receive old infill back at these facilities. We're able to clean, separate, and rejuvenate the sand and the rubber infill from an old field, and then ship it to another job site and use them as good as new. So we have 2 facilities currently operating, with more planned as we grow out our entire footprint around this recycling effort. So that's been a huge hit as well. Now, when you take out a turf field, I just talked about the infill, then, what about the carpet? So once the infill is removed from the carpet, we're able to actually send the old carpet to be recycled into things like plastic products such as plastic lumber, boards, and actually those boards can be used in society in a variety of different things. We actually use those boards sometimes in applications such as our own construction projects, right? So constructing new fields. So you have this element of circularity now when it comes to the turf carpet. So that's kind of cool to think about. That's not obvious to people. Lastly, I talked about the effect of a job site. So there's the pillar of job site waste for us. So this is again our commitment to eliminating the enormous footprint of single-use materials that you'll find on a job site, such as like cardboard, bags, pallets, plastic that's kind of left over from general construction sites. So those are kind of the pillars, the infill options of reuse and regeneration, what we do with the turf carpet today, and our commitment as well on job site waste. So really, really proud to share that with you today. Another thing that's unique that we've been doing in this space is something called environmental product declarations. Not sure who's familiar or not with it. But I want to highlight what we believe to be an industry first, at least here in North America. We're the first company in our space to be able to fully validate the sort of the life cycle of our products, essentially. So what does that mean in more detail? Environmental product declarations, or EPDs, are really like a transparent and standard way to show the environmental footprint of a product. So everything from like the resources you use to make your product, all emissions throughout the value chain, waste generated, like right from like when it starts with a polymer, all the way through the manufacturing process, all the way through to the job site and the execution and the delivery, to the customer, So I think it really comes down to trust, right? It provides a level of trust, I think, as it's third-party verified, it's accurate, and it kind of fights people that make false claims. In this space, there's a lot of what we would call greenwashing going on, where people make outlandish claims that are simply not true, right? So, asking for this or demanding it for our customers is a way to fight that, because anybody could do this and should. And I think it's a first step in the industry towards meeting some of the more sort of tougher building standards as well that are out there. So yeah, that's something that I think is pretty cool, and something we're proud to bring onto the marketplace. Next up in our sustainability buckets, I would say this is in terms of potential, I would use words like groundbreaking here. But to me anyways, one of our most groundbreaking and high potential sustainability innovations kind of emerged from like a big challenge that we've been attempting to make progress on for years. How to offset the carbon footprint of the effort of constructing a turf field, and sort of reshaping or redefining the environmental narrative of artificial turf, showing more of its full potential and what it actually does for a community. And it's really not obvious to people, right? So we had a lot of internal conversations around how our fields, can continue to make a real difference with proven technologies for the environment. It's something honestly that I'm personally incredibly excited about that we introduced last year. It really spins off the question, if you think about it, of, what else can a turf field do? And, part of our objective is always to design with communities in mind, right? So thinking around that, this idea was born. So we found that, you know, this kind of kicked off for us when our innovation team and our design team came across research on something that is called enhanced rock weathering, which is a natural carbon sequestration process where there's certain minerals out there, such as things like wollastonite, basalt, olivine sand. These minerals sort of react with carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, so like rainwater, to form stable carbon-based compounds. And this process in general, this weathering of these materials, effectively captures carbon for thousands of years. So we were inspired by the potential of enhanced rock weathering, or ERW as people call it, and saw an opportunity to integrate this into our turf systems, right? Which would kind of turn our fields into active, like carbon capture spaces, essentially. So just kind of a quick summary of the process here. And this is not something that, is new, developed by artificial turf industry or field turf. This is something that the farming industry and other industries have been using for a long time. So I would encourage you to just, search it up after, enhanced rock weathering and read about it. It's pretty cool, actually. I was unaware about it before our project here. But essentially, certain minerals have this ability, and they're mined and finely crushed, right, into almost powder-like material. We transport them to our job sites. So, like, if it's close, we'll truck it. But if it's not, we'll rail it actually there because it has a lower impact in terms of railing versus trucking. Then we spread that material as infill within our system. And then when rain water hits it and the material gets weathered, that's when the water that passes through that will eventually make its way into larger waterways, and that's how the carbon is stored for a very, very long time. Again, really cool process. Would highly encourage you to read up on it. Our customers can benefit from this in numerous ways. I thought it was pretty interesting. It can contribute to LEED certification, things like that. It seems to me that every university, municipality, high school, the typical customer types we deal with, everybody has their own ESG program, so environmental, social, and governance. Everybody has a strategy around that, at least. And obviously, this effort is generally aligned with, any climate change initiatives around the world. So, lots of science behind it, lots of published science, other industries, universities, etc. There's a lot out there in terms of research. So I would encourage those to, you can look this up yourself and kind of poke through it there. It's a pretty interesting way, I think. And there's a lot of, big businesses getting behind this effort these days, a lot of investment in this space. And I think the reassuring part, bringing it back to artificial turf, is that there's really no change to like our system design, right? The way we use it, I tried to highlight it here on the slide for you to see. But we'll put that mineral sort of at the bottom of our infill matrix so that there's really no risk or no change of performance when an athlete is sort of walking on the surface, running on the surface. There's really no difference to the infill profile. So something that we're super excited about, that's pretty recent for us as well. And the last general topic I wanted to share with you that may not be obvious to anyone is the use of natural infills. So the vast majority of our installations these days are still fields with a heavy amount of infill that comes from SBR rubber, recycled car tires, and silica sand, right? There's a portion of customers that want to explore the use of natural materials instead. And we've actually had these for a very long time, truthfully. Again, maybe not obvious to people, but We've had some of these for over 10 years. So we have a very comprehensive product line of natural infills, plant-based materials. So the proof is there that they work. But like any, component or infill material or any product really, there are some really nice benefits to these and some considerations to take into account, right? So we offered things like granulated cork. I mentioned it earlier, granulated olive pits as infill, granulated corn cobs made in the USA. And for many, many years all over the world, there's, sort of coconut husks. Um, so they, to me, there's a natural aesthetic, you get a heat reduction benefit from these. Um, you can say it's natural. I think the consideration on the other side is that, these cost more. You need to spend more on padding your system. And in some cases, there is additional maintenance to be had with these products versus a more traditional type of infilled system. So it's really just understanding, kind of the pros and cons of it, and making sure we're educating our customers about these. But something again, I thought I'd share that I think is pretty cool. There's a positive impact that these have from a carbon footprint perspective, and their ability at the end of their lives to be kind of biodegradable back into nature. So from a recycling perspective, there's less of a general concern with these natural materials as well. And that's kind of all I had for my slides and things I wanted to just inject and share with you that at least I thought were cool. And I think George, your question earlier was around sort of proof of recycling, right? I talk a lot about recycling. Um, we're doing a lot of things, but how do we prove it? Because again, there's a lot of people out there making a lot of claims these days that they do things that they don't, unfortunately. We take this very seriously. So when we recycle, a field at one of our facilities, we're providing customers with, things like a chain of custody, a recycling certificate, like it shows actual weights of materials, where it went, what we've done with it. We've actually started on a few jobs providing GPS tracking as well that we're looking to scale to all of our recycling efforts, which I think is a tremendous idea as well. So I think we're doing everything we possibly can to ensure that we're very transparent.
We do have one question in
Thank
the
you.
chat if you'd like to answer it. From Steve, what is the estimated life of a field? What maintenance, if any, is required?
Yeah, that's a a great question. I mean, typically about 10 years, 10 to 12 years, I would say. And the main maintenance activities are typically brushing, aerating, raking, and sweeping. We have an acronym for that called BARS, try to make it a little bit easier. But those are typically the general maintenance activities you would go through, um, throughout the life of the field.
Hi,
Any
Jason. This is Kara from Connecticut. Sorry I hopped on
Hi,
late,
Kara.
but
Yes, all good.
caught the end of it. Are there any warranties for the natural infills?
Yeah, good question. So our products are generally third-party insured, warranted for, depending on the product style, for 8 to 10 years, and that's no different if someone selects a natural infill over a more traditional infill. So the component itself is not necessarily the warranty; it's the whole field, the whole system, and the use of what I would call an alternative infill or a natural infill doesn't change our warranty. Good question, though. Something I get asked fairly often.
Are there other questions? Tina Smith, President of AEPA, are you on with us?
Seems like he is.
Tina, you have anything you want to say? I don't know if she has the capability of doing that or not, Phil.
I can let her in if we'd like.
Hey, everyone, can you hear me?
Yes, Tina.
I want to say thank you so much to the field turf team for today's webinar. It was amazing. Kara for organizing them, and George for kind of leading the way, and CISA purchasing for helping with the logistics. Great information. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
My
Any more
pleasure.
questions, Phil?
No questions that I'm currently seeing.
Jason, we appreciate it very much. Phil, thank you, and CISA for helping us here. Kara, thank you for leading this effort. And I do want to make everybody aware that on March 19th, I think Flynn Scientific is going to be with us for the next AEPA webinar. So pencil that down on your calendar, and I'm sure we'll be getting a invite information from Kara. Again, Jason, Field Turf, thank you all for sharing with us today. Very, very good information and very timely information in the athletic field world. So
Amazing.
thanks
Yeah.
again.
Thank you for your time, everyone. Really appreciate it. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.